Aloha, I'm Representative Kymberly Pine, and thank you for joining us for this segment of Time with Kymberly Pine. Today we are going to talk about cybercrime, and it's been in the news almost every week. There's been some cyber attacks on one business or another, and we have someone very special with us, Jodi Ito, who is Information Security Officer with the University of Hawaii. Thank you so much, Jodi, for coming. I feel like we have a special VIP guest who can teach us a lot today.
Well, thank you very much for having me here. I'm honored to be here.
Well, a lot of things going up, especially we have the Justice Department finished a study that said 1.4 million Americans are being cyber harassed every year, and over 830,000 are being cyber stalked every year. That is an amazing amount of people, and it just seems like we're sort of just talking about it, but really not talking about how bad the problem is.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact with media. You can reach so many people so easily in such a short period of time, all the time, every day. So for example, when you would have to physically pick up a phone and call somebody to harass them, it doesn't take very much effort to hit that send button and send them 100 emails on the same subject with the same hurtful information. So the media and technologies have made it easier to perpetrate some of these crimes. And a lot of times we don't understand how it affects somebody. We think it's just email, just delete it. But if you're a young child growing up and you have negative images of yourself, and then these messages come at you from all areas at all times from everybody, it can really, really be painful. So I think there's a lot that we need to do to help our children understand what it is and how to mitigate some of that, as well as helping our education system deal with how do you handle a cyber bully or a cyber incident within a classroom.
Hasn't been just kids though. Some of the adults are the worst perpetrators. We've been seeing a lot of really crazy things happening. And what's different about just being harassed or bullied in person? At school, for example, you can just go home and go, oh, I'm in a safe place.
Right.
But in this new digital world where we have iPads and phones that go to our Facebook, and then we go to our computers constantly, it makes the victim almost feel like they're surrounded by the harassment.
It is. That is absolutely true, because the physical world, you get to escape back to your safe place, which is generally your home. But you don't have a safe place in our digital society anymore. We want to be connected all the time. We have our mobile devices. We want to be able to check our blog, check our Facebook page, check our status and Twitters. But with that, we're also checking all the negative messages that come into us all the time. So we need to educate our students, ourselves, and adults that things I would not tell to your face in person, we should not be doing this on electronic media also.
And is it because of some people keep themselves anonymous or give them a
It's much
fake
easier
name?
to be anonymous on the internet. There was a cartoon, 1993, it came out in the New Yorker, and the cartoon was this image of a dog on a computer typing, and he's looking at another dog, and he says, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. and that's exactly true, and this is back in 1993, but that perception still persists today. People are a little bit more brazen and bold because they think their communications cannot be traced. But with enough persistence, you can actually find out, even an anonymous email, you might be able to trace to whom originated from.
And there seems to be more and more businesses popping up that can do that now.
Absolutely. They're all over the place, and in a sense, they make it seem like a security thing. There was a story in the media that said this family was being stalked on their cell phones. They were getting calls all hours of the day and the night, and it would say they're going to rape the daughter, they're going to kill the daughter, they're watching their every move. They got rid of they changed their phone numbers and everything, but it still persists. What had happened was the cell phone was infected or had some software on it installed. And these were software that was designed to catch a cheating spouse, watch your employees. And these things are free, commercially available on the internet for something $100, $200. But you need physical control on the phone so that you can install it. And so they never changed their phones. They changed their phone numbers. So the software still existed. So that's how they could still be harassed. So, but these types of things, just Google cell phone spy software, and I'm sure you can come up with a whole list of things like that. GPS trackers, we use our phones. We don't know, but when we take a picture and it's location aware, It's also putting the longitude and latitude of where that picture was taken as part of the data that goes with the picture.
Wow.
So if you post that, say, on your Facebook page, and you keep that data with it, then people know exactly where you are, what time you took that picture, and therefore, if you took a picture on vacation, you posted it immediately to your Facebook page, did not know you had that information there, but people who are smart enough to find that information, they can say, hey, Kymberly's not at home. Let's go rob her house, right? So they're using this data that's attached to the picture as a way of determining where people are physically located. So that's another way that people can be stalked.
Oh my goodness. So don't take pictures on your cell phone and then send it straight to Facebook?
That, or on your phone, there's ways that you can turn off what we call location-aware services. The location-aware service, if it's enabled, means that your GPS is on and is being used for that service. So there are services such as things called Foursquare, where it allows you to check in so that you can see what maybe stores are around you, and the stores can then send you offers like discounts or coupons for their services. But by doing that, you're telling them where you are physically, because you've now used the GPS on your phone to tell them where you're physically located. So things like that. So here's the thing is, us as consumers, we need to know what is exactly going on behind that service or that offering so that we know if we want to participate in that service or offering, knowing what information it's collecting about us.
So would you say then maybe a teenage girl who likes to post to Facebook a lot, and there's a lot of unfortunate situations of older male stalkers, of young teenage women, it could possibly be putting herself at risk if she's downloading all of these things to her phone so she can do more things. It's not a good thing.
There's so here's the other thing. Now we all want to be connected with our cell phones. These things are kind of our lives now. Now there are malicious software that can now infect your phone and maybe also give out personal information about you, like share your contact list. If you use your phone to, say, connect to your banking service, it may now have your account number and PIN. So you have to also be careful not only about what you do with the phone, but what you install on your phone. And because the other things you can do is, I've seen applications where you can remote control your home security system. What if you lose your phone and it's not password protected? Well, now somebody else now has access to your security system at home. So again, we like our mobile devices for convenience, but we have to balance that against our security, our privacy, and our safety. So women, yes, we're very good about sharing because we want to tell our friends, we're here, let's all come, let's get together, this coffee shop, this bar, you know, we want to socialize. But by doing that, you're also telling everybody else who has access to, let's say, even that Twitter feed or Facebook page that might be friends of friends of friends, that now you're letting people know all of these things. And you know, people like to post pictures of themselves at parties, maybe acting a little bit inappropriately. So we've actually had cases where we'd get called by the former student and said, can you take that picture of me down from my friend's web page because my company doesn't think that's a good representation of me for the company's you know, presence. So things like that. So we call that online reputation management. So I have heard of cases where students were actually denied entrance into college based on things that they may have posted on their social media sites. You know, the college felt that whatever they were posting, it's inappropriate for that student to be represented at that college.
Now, what are some of the issues that you're dealing with within your college and students? And are you implementing new social media rules for your employees?
No, actually, because we are a university, so we research and education is part of our mission, and a lot of our campuses are actively using social media to promote the campus and the services to the students and the families of the students. So we don't actually have any definite media policies. We do have appropriate use policies that go across all technologies. So you're not supposed to use university resources to hack somebody else. You're not supposed to use university resources to harass anybody. So we try to transcend the media and talk about the behaviors instead, what behaviors are not acceptable.
Now, what are other risks that people don't aren't really paying enough attention to that you think that they should?
I think we are citizens in a digital world, but many of us, like myself, we didn't grow up in that digital world. I didn't touch a computer until I got to college, unlike kids nowadays, right? So they're on a computer from the time they're 2. So I had to learn about what the problems, the vulnerabilities, and the risks are in this digital world. So much like we learned in our physical world how to look both ways when we cross the street, how to not talk to strangers, you know, all these safety rules and tips that our parents gave us and all of our older adults gave to us. We didn't necessarily learn that here, but those same things need to be taught now and need to be incorporated into our everyday lives. So, for example, if you're doing online banking or online shopping, okay, so make sure that your accounts that you have, make sure you have very difficult to guess passwords. Passwords, as innocent as it may be, oh, password, I can pick anything as a password, they won't guess it. Wrong. We have compromised accounts at the university all the time because people have easy to guess passwords and attackers.
Like their dog's
name,
their birthday, it's all on their Facebook page.
Exactly, all of those things. And you think, now, how would somebody be able to guess that? That is my password. But there are actually software programs called password crackers that the attacker will just launch this, and eventually, in maybe, you know, even an hour, it'll guess the password and then get into the account.
Just by using common phrases and words you might put on your social media, networking websites.
Correct. So, you know, when you have these, what they call password reset questions for an account, and it says, what's your mother's maiden name? Well, if you go to any genealogy site, it'd probably be very easy to look up. So what you want to do is, if you're going to pick that question to begin with, don't put the real answer. So if you consistently lie about what your mother's maiden name is, then use that same name, or it doesn't even have to be a name, it could be a color, it could be an animal, but just use that all the time, then you don't really have to remember. And then the attacker would never guess it because they think you're probably going to put down your mother's maiden name. So there are ways that you can...
And I used to do that.
Yeah. Well, we were
Not
taught
anymore.
to. We were taught to. So it's a different world. So we need to outguess the attackers, I think.
Now, how do you choose a password? I've had people advise me on multiple different ways to choose a password. What's the best way to choose a password?
The best way to choose a password is, one, you have to remember it. Okay, so what you need to do is think of something that you will always remember. So what's your favorite color?
I don't have one.
I was going to help you craft one.
Blue. Okay, let's just say blue.
Okay, let's start with blue. So to make that into a hard password to guess, you need to incorporate upper and lowercase letters, and numbers and special characters. So B-L-U-E. So capital B, instead of a L, use a number 1. So capital B, 1, U, instead of a 3, pick something else. What kind of looks like a 3? E, pick a 3. But that's really short now, so you need to make a unique password for every account you have. So you take that really hard part of it and add something else about the site that you're going to. So let's pick Amazon. So you pick blue Amazon. So capital B, 1, U, 3, and then you can do an @ sign for an A, or a capital A, M, capital A, Z, 0, N, you know. So take something you can remember, and then use certain replacements that you use all the time to make it not a dictionary word, not easily guessable, and different for each site you go to.
Don't use the same password for everything.
Correct, exactly.
That's what I think the old days is you'd use the same password for your banking, your same password for Facebook and Twitter.
And your email account.
Once they hack into you, they have access to everything.
Absolutely. And so the strategy is important. Or there's other tools out there called password safes. So basically you can put in all your passwords and accounts into this one thing. It'll encrypt it, but you cannot lose that master key to that password safe. But that's one way of doing it. The other thing people do that make them a little less secure is they will save their accounts and passwords in their browser. But when you do that, if somebody were to break into your computer or somebody were to steal your laptop, well, now they have access to all of your accounts because you saved that information and made it easy for them to gain access to it.
One thing that I learned from my personal experience with all this cyber harassment was I didn't have a secure wireless router.
Right.
Anybody could basically spoof me, and it'll go back to my router as if I actually sent it.
Right.
Now, a lot of people don't realize that they're at risk. What do you recommend for people to fix that?
So a lot of places where you can get good cybersecurity tips will tell you how to configure your wireless router to make it more secure. So one, it should not be the default name that's assigned to the router.
Don't say Kymberly's wireless.
That's probably not
Kymberly
a good
Pine's wireless.
Right, you know,
Okay.
XYZ123 or something unique that only you will know. Or you can even hide it so that it does not appear in a wireless network so that people can't see it and will not be able to connect to it because they don't know the name of it. And then you make sure that you have what they call an encrypted password to get on to the network.
Because I think what happened was I'd said Kymberly's, it was Kymberly's Pine's wireless, or the Pine household or something.
Okay.
And we're like, how is this person spoofing me? And so I had an internet security expert, and he says, yeah, you could be sitting right outside in the parking lot, because my system was really good, where it had a long range.
So everybody in your neighborhood goes, I can get free wireless, let me sit here.
Yes, and I knew nothing about that. And I think what I'm trying to promote is, just as you eat every day, you should every day learn about internet security and how to keep your family more safe. And the information is overwhelming for non-techies like me, but it's almost so important now, especially if you're doing home banking. And we were blessed that nothing happened to us at that time. Because luckily my husband did it from another location, just because he didn't have time by the time he got home, so we're very lucky. So what are other things? Identity theft is big. How is it getting so much easier to steal our identity, and what can we do to protect ourselves?
So the fact is that identity theft is only one component of financial fraud. So identity theft is where somebody actually opens up an account in your name, gets a mortgage in your name, but is misusing your good name and your good credit record. So that occurs a lot of times because they may have done something simple as dive into your trash can and took those credit card offers that you received in the mail, and they filled it out but changed and put it on a different address. So you will never see the credit card come. You will never see the bills that are associated with it. And you will probably only know that this credit card was opened in your name if you did a credit check through the credit monitoring services, or you get hit by a collection agency that says you've never paid your credit card, right?
So it's good to spend the $5 a month or whatever it is nowadays to invest in regular credit reporting.
That, or that credit card offer, rip it up or shred it so that nobody can misuse it. So the other thing that happens is that people can steal mail from mailboxes. So especially outgoing mail, if you're paying for a bill with a check, if you put it in your mailbox and put that little red flag up, it goes, hey, I have mail, somebody can come and steal it. So make sure you deposit your outgoing mail into a regular post office mailbox or a more secure mailbox thing where you open it and drop it in, so it's not your personal mailbox for outgoing mail.
Now tell me about some of the things you brought here. This is new to me, copier data security.
Right.
I didn't even know that we had a problem with that. What's going on with that?
So because copiers are not just copiers anymore, they actually are printers. You can scan things in and store it on the hard drive that's in the copier now. So we call these multifunction devices. So once an image gets stored onto a hard drive, if it is not properly erased, it can live there forever. And if you were to, say, dispose of the copier without properly destroying the information on that hard drive, somebody can take the hard drive, look at the information on it, and then misuse that. So there was a news report done, and they actually bought some copiers that were, it's secondhand copiers, so they bought a used copier, and then even inside the glass thing, they found people were Xeroxing, say, personnel records that had Social Security numbers on them, and they forgot the paper on the glass. And then when they actually got to the hard drive, they found, oh, one was from a hospital and had images of medical records still residual on the hard drive. So one of the things that you need to do if you're securing a contract with a copy company, make sure that they have a provision that they will securely erase the information on the hard drive when they take it back, or that you have the option of taking the hard drive out of the machine and you destroy that information properly. So that's one of the larger problems that we're finding out. But this can happen anywhere that there's a hard drive that's not, we think of a hard drive as being on a computer, but it's not anymore. If you think about your phones, it can hold, say, up to 34 or 64 gigabytes of data, right? And that you can actually store things on, not just your music, but you can store spreadsheets, PDF files that may have come in through an email attachment that may have sensitive information on it. So we have to think about all the things that we use technology-wise that may store this information.
Now, what are some laptop security tips that you can offer to us?
So actually, the federal government, all of these materials that I brought actually are from our federal government, and we do have a wide array of promotional materials and informational materials. So this one is on laptop security specifically.
So treat your laptop like cash.
Yes.
Get it out of the car.
Do not leave a laptop in a trunk. People, it's so easy to pop a lock on a trunk and lift out whatever's in there.
Wow. And use a security cable.
Right. So that is a cable. There is, each laptop that you buy now has like a little lock slot on it, and you can insert a security cable that needs a key to release it. So even when you travel, if you take your security cable with you, you can say secure through the cable, lock it down to, say, a bed or something that's hard to move. And then you can lock your laptop to whatever device or furniture that's in your hotel room. So
keep it off the floor, or at least between your feet.
Right? Because if you say you put it, say, on the side or behind your chair, it's very easy for somebody to just walk up and grab it. Keep it in your sight at all times.
I like this one. Because this is what we did for a while. Keep your passwords somewhere else, not near your laptop or your keys.
When our techs go out and do computer support, a lot of times they may not know the password to the account on the computer. They'll lift the keyboard and they'll find it on a Post-it note right underneath the keyboard or underneath the mouse pad or behind the monitor. Because people don't want to forget your password. But the thing is, people know that you're keeping it on a Post-it note somewhere. So it sounds
not
silly,
very safe,
but no,
everybody does it.
Everybody does it.
We were doing it for a while. Don't leave it just for a second.
That is true. Absolutely. Even if you're going to run into the store for 30 seconds, a minute, you just never know what's going to happen to it. So if I have my laptop and I'm going from work to home and I don't drop it off right away, so I'm often in the market with my laptop in my backpack on my back with me. I do not leave it in the car anywhere.
Pay attention in airports, especially because of that, right?
Yes.
And any other tips that we should be thinking about in terms of our security?
Laptops, make sure, actually all computers, make sure you have accounts and passwords, and difficult to guess passwords. Once you're on the internet with your device, people are trying to break into your computer, guess your password, so they can either, one, take the information off of your computer, or use your computer to launch an attack on somebody else. So as an example, I set up a computer at my office for 3 days so that I can remote into it from home so I don't have to come into the office on a weekend. Purely convenience. So when I came back to work on Monday, I was trying to get into the computer I'd set up in the office for remote access. I couldn't get in. Then when I checked into it a little bit more, the logs, I saw that people from outside the university, I don't know who they were, I had login failed, login failed, login failed. People were trying to log into my computer. If I had an easily guessable password, they would have been in. But because I had it very restricted, they weren't able to get in. So people are trying to do this. So you have to have a very strong password on your computer.
How often should you change your password?
Okay, that's a debate. Best practices in a lot of different, commercial types of settings, they say you have to change it every 90 days. And you cannot use the same password for 7 times in a row. And then it's very difficult to remember this. So I would suggest at a minimum maybe once a year. because especially for your more sensitive accounts. Now, some accounts are less sensitive. Let's say it's your airline mileage account, right? If you don't have a credit card number stored on there, not that important if they take my miles.
Yeah.
It would be an inconvenience, but it's not like my credit cards or my credit or my bank account. My bank account is sensitive, so I make sure that one I have a really hard password, and the bank normally requests that you change it a little bit more frequently. So that one is usually between 60 to 90 days. Some banks, though, if they have what they call two-factor authentication, you may not need to change it as often. Now, two-factor authentication is something that you know and something that you have. So the password is something that you know, and then something that you have is they could be sending a text code back to your phone that is unique for that session, or they may have a picture that you have uploaded ahead of time to make sure that, yes, this is your picture and nothing's been changed to it. So banks and financial institutions tend to have very stringent password policies.
Well, Jodi, the time went by so fast. We're about a minute left, and I just want to thank you so much. We're probably going to have you back because this has been so fascinating, and we definitely need to do a better job here in Hawaii of not being so trusting.
Exactly.
And recognizing that we need to take charge of our own cybersecurity. And so, Jodi, I want to thank you for all of the information that you shared with us today. So many people will benefit.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a fun time. But there are definitely a lot of things that we need to do and be aware of, especially as technology keeps changing and moving ahead.
And we'll give you more of that information. Well, I'm Kymberly Pine, and I want to thank you so much for joining us for this segment that talked about cybercrime and how to keep yourself safe. Stay tuned, because I think we're going to have several shows of this so that you can learn the new techniques that are out there to ensure that your identity is not stolen and certainly that you're not compromised. Mahalo again for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Aloha.